Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Simisola Adigun. Well, the crisis in Rivers State is still continuing after a state high court ruled that Governor Fubara is legally empowered to transact business with the three lawmakers who have not vacated their seats in the State House of Assembly. Justice Sika Akrioku said this in his judgment while dismissing a suit seeking to compel the governor to represent the 2024 budget to the Martins Amewule-led Assembly. The said suit was filed by the registered trustees of the Association of Legislative Drafting and Advocacy Practitioners and had the government of Rivers State, the governor of Rivers State, and the Attorney General of the state as defendants. It sought to compel the governor to represent the 2024 budget to the 27 lawmakers led by Amewule for passage into law. After considering the argument from the different councils, Justice Akrioku ruled that Governor Fubara could transact business with the members who did not vacate their seats. Aside that, the court also cited the action made by his predecessor and now Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, during his time as governor, who presented the budget and financial bills to only 6 members when the numbers were less than 2/3 of the 32 members in 2016. On this ground, the court ruled that similarly Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, also has the constitutionally guided right to interface and approach the properly constituted House of Assembly led by Oko Jumbo to carry on the business of the state. Well, let's get further legal perspective to this court ruling. Mr. Got Power Egbule, who is a legal practitioner, joins me from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Egbule. Now, what are your thoughts on this ruling by the River State High Court, basically backing Governor Fubara's stance on the state's 2024 budget? I mean, the judge says the governor has the legal authority to do business with the 3 members who have not left their seats in the State House of Assembly.
First of all, let me say that that particular judgment, I guess, delivered on the 20th day of December 2024, remains a sad commentary, in our judiciary. I mean, it's a mockery of the judiciary. There are a lot of judgments, especially at the Court of Appeal, where the Court of Appeal recognized Right Honorable Martins Amewule as the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, and indeed the other 25 members as members of the House of Assembly. As a matter of fact, the Court of Appeal delivered a judgment on the 13th of December 2024. And if you take a look at that judgment, the Court of Appeal said that Right Honorable Martins Amewule and the other 25 members are members of the River State House of Assembly and empowered by the Constitution to continue to transact, the business of the House of Assembly. So when you now, and if you take a look at the provisions of Section 287 of the Constitution, it provides that the decision 287 sub 2 provides that the decisions, the judgment of the Court of Appeal remains binding on all authorities and persons, including courts that are subordinate to the Court of Appeal. So a situation where you now have a High Court of River State giving a contrary judgment to that of the Court of Appeal, you would just agree with me that it is worrisome. Like I always say, it is a tragedy of monumental proportion, and the High Court of River State does not even have jurisdiction to make such an order, because a look at the provision of Section 272 sub 3 of the Constitution provides that the issue as to whether a member of the House of Assembly has left his seat or vacated his seat is for the Federal High Court to decide. The High Court of the state does not have such jurisdiction. So by what authority did the High Court of River State make such a pronouncement?
Now, from a legal perspective, help us understand the intricacies of presenting a budget to fewer number of lawmakers because his predecessor, now Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, also presented a budget to only 6 members when the numbers were less than 2/3 of the 32 members back in 2016. I mean, that was one of the points that the judge referenced. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, when it comes to political issues, as to what anybody has done in the past, I would not make commentaries on that because, number one, I'm a lawyer, and I like to address the issues. The issues that we have at present is that there are a lot of legal contestations, and those contestations have gone to court, and courts have made pronouncements on them. There will be no need to make comparison with what has happened in the past, because I may not be at the moment. I don't have the complete facts of what happened in the past, but I know that I have complete facts of what's happening now. Like I just said, the Court of Appeal has given a decision. So if the Court of Appeal has given a decision, no high court or any court subordinate to the Court of Appeal can use what has happened in the past as a precedent, because the precedent that every court should use is the decisions of higher courts. For instance, if a Supreme Court has given a decision in a judgment, the Court of Appeal is bound by that decision. The Court of Appeal cannot use extraneous facts, or other precedents by politicians as a basis to give its judgment. So the High Court of Rivers State does not have the power to now make recourse, to what politicians have done as basis to give its judgment. The High Court of Rivers State is bound by the decisions of the Court of Appeal. So the excuse that this thing has been done in the past is not justifiable. Doesn't have any constitutional backing, especially in the light of decisions and judgments of the Court of Appeal.
All right, so the State High Court has asked the 27 lawmakers led by Martin Amerole, who had lost their seats due to their defection to the ruling All Progressives Congress APC from the PDP, to either approach the court for redemption or have INEC hold another election to fill the seats they left vacant. Is it then possible for the Martin Amerole-led assembly to regain their seats?
Well, I've just said that their judgment of the High Court of Rivers State is without any constitutional backing and basis. And you see, it speaks a lot about what is happening in Rivers State, and everybody must now pay attention to this, because one way or the other, we all get affected by the decisions from the High Courts. Too often, people place so much emphasis on what happens at the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, and nobody knows what happens at the Federal High Court and the State High Court and other courts subordinate to the Court of Appeal. The High Court of Rivers State does not have the jurisdiction to make such pronouncements. I have said that by virtue of Section 272 sub 3, it is only the Federal High Court that can determine whether the seat of a member of the House of Assembly has become vacant. And no court has said that Right Honorable Martin Amerole has defected and the other 25 lawmakers have defected and their seats have been declared vacant. No court has said so. So which reference of judgment did the High Court of Rivers State allude to when it said that the only way they can now regain their seats is to go and contest an election or go to court? These matters are pending. I mean, the latest of such judgment is that of the Court of Appeal on the 13th of December 2024. Where did the High Court of Rivers State, where did it get the authority to make a pronouncement that they have lost their seat? Because no court has made such pronouncement. No Federal High Court has made such pronouncement. The Court of Appeal has not made such pronouncement. The High Court of Rivers State does not have the jurisdiction to make such pronouncement. Do not also forget that you had a matter from the High Court of Rivers State. One of such matter was when the High Court of Rivers State restrained Martin Amerole and the 25 lawmakers, from parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly. That matter went to Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal quashed everything that Honorable Justice Wali did. Now you have another matter still emanating from the High Court of Rivers State saying that they have lost their seats. It is a tragedy of monumental proportion. And like I said, it's a sad commentary in our judiciary. It's a mockery of the judiciary. It's something that ought not to have happened.
Now, following this newest ruling by the Rivers State High Court, should locals, residents, be expecting an appeal over an appeal that refused to compel Governor Fubara to represent the 2024 budget to the Martin Amerole-led Assembly?
The judgment of the High Court of Rivers State at the moment is tortious. It has no effect. It cannot stand the test of time in the light of the Court of Appeal decision. So I do not know what would be the appeal. The Court of Appeal has given several decisions with respect to the political issues in Rivers State. So I am aware that other parties have also appealed to the Supreme Court. But what we have at the moment is the High Court, the Court of Appeal judgments. So I do not know. I also do not forget that I've read that judgment. Right Honorable Martin Amerole is not even a party to that suit. The other 25 lawmakers in the Rivers State House of Assembly are not parties to that suit. So that's why you even begin to question why the High Court of Rivers State would give such a far-reaching decision when the parties were not present before the courts. So I do not know the effect, but if you ask me, it is obtuse, it is void. because any decision given without jurisdiction itself cannot hold water.
Now, amid the whole argument over the representation of the 2024 budget, the governor, that's Fubara, now has presented the 2025 budget of 1.1 trillion naira. But the issues in court are still related to the 2024 budget, generating a significant crisis. Well, it has generated a significant crisis. Now, in your opinion, will this court case, will this ruling have any impact on the state's 2025 budget execution?
Quickly, you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand. The 2025 budget rests squarely on that of 2024. Because if you take a look at the provisions of the Constitution, it is only the House of Assembly that can make law with respect to appropriation for the governor to access funds in the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the state. Now, in 2024, you had 4 members who passed that budget, and the Court of Appeal nullified such passage. In 2025, you're having a situation where just 3 members of the House of Assembly are now sitting. Yet, there's a decision of the Court of Appeal questioning the entire thing these 3 members did in 2024. If you take a look at the several court cases, you would have the decision of Honorable Justice Omotosho, which asked the governor to represent the budget before Right Honorable Martin Samehuli. You also have the decision of the Court of Appeal, where the Court of Appeal questioned the entire thing that Honorable Okojombo did. Now, in 2025, in the light of the Court of Appeal decision, it is only reasonable that the governor presents the 2025 budget and indeed the 2024 budget before Right Honorable Martin Samehuli. And the reason is simple. The mere fact that the party has lodged an appeal before the Supreme Court, where there is no stay of execution or stay pending appeal, you have to comply with the decision of the Court of Appeal. That's the express provision of Section 287 of the Constitution. If the judgment of the Court of Appeal is declaratory, then you have to file for what we call stay pending appeal. If it is a judgment that is capable of being executed, you have to apply for stay of execution. There is no stay of execution at the moment. There is no stay pending appeal at the moment. It means that as of today, the law we have is the law made by the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal has said, take this budget before Right Honorable Martin Samehuli and the other members of the House of Assembly. But what we have consistently seen in Rivers State is the expression of executive rascality. We have rule of law, and as a constitutional democracy, it means that the actions of government and indeed private citizens must comply with the provisions of the Constitution. The Constitution expressly, in unambiguous terms, states that the Constitution is supreme and its provision has binding force on all authorities and persons, including the governor. The governor wouldn't have been governor today except by the provisions of the Constitution. But we now have a situation where the governor sits as the governor of the state, now decides who would be a member of the House of Assembly. Meaning that tomorrow, if the governor is also dissatisfied with these people now acting as members of the House of Assembly, the governor can still decide to constitute other private citizens and say they are members of the House of Assembly. I have said this is a tragedy of monumental proportion. Whatever is happening in Rivers State should occupy the front burner of our national discourse so that we continue to see how those who were elected continue to enforce the Constitution in breach.
Mr. Egbule, we'll definitely continue this conversation after this break. Do stay with us. The program will continue shortly. Welcome back. We're still discussing the current development in Rivers State amid the power tussle between Governor Fubara and pro-Wike lawmakers. Mr. Godswill Egbule, legal expert, is still my guest on the program. And let's go on with our discussion, Mr. Egbule. The Martins Amewele-led assembly, claiming to be the only recognized House of Assembly, has rejected the 2025 budget presented by Governor Fubara. Do you agree that do you agree with the faction that feels that the governor abused his position of authority?
As a lawyer, I actually pay attention to terms and words. Number one, I can say with certainty that we do not have any faction in the House of Assembly because the Constitution does not contemplate faction. The Constitution creates a House of Assembly. The Constitution does not allow for faction. The Constitution also gives you a right to remove the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker and principal officers if you have two-thirds majority. At the moment, Right Honorable Martin Samuel has not been removed as a Speaker, so he remains a Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. There cannot be another assembly transacting business in the name of the Rivers State House of Assembly other than the one constituted by Right Honorable Martin Samuel. I need to make that point clear that we don't have a faction. And so if the governor didn't present the budget before the House of Assembly led by Right Honorable Martin Samuel, it means that any presentation to any other person is null and void. So even if Right Honorable Martin Samuel doesn't come out to say it, by the express wordings, the wordings and the spirit of the Constitution, what the governor has done is against the provisions of the Constitution.
Well, this pro-wiki lawmakers, led by Martin Zamorele, have also deemed that budget presentation void, saying that Governor Fubara disobeyed the court orders and acted in a way that undermines the rule of law. Could this be the beginning of another legal battle in the state?
Quickly, I don't think it's just the members of the House of Assembly that are feeling the brunt. I also feel the entire River State are feeling the brunt because by the provisions of the Constitution, you cannot access monies in the Consolidated Revenue Funds without a bill, the appropriation bill passed by the House of Assembly. So the entire River State is feeling the brunt because the situation we now have is that the governor is now dipping his hands into public funds without express law in that regard. Now, what the House of Assembly members are saying is, in clear terms, that you have a House of Assembly. The House of Assembly is supposed to transact business, including passage of appropriation bill. The House of Assembly didn't pass that appropriation bill. The governor is now dipping his hand into public funds and spending it the way he wants. That's exactly what the House of Assembly members are saying. The question now is this in line with the provisions of the Constitution? And my answer is in the affirmative. Yes. That entire thing that members of the House of Assembly led by Right Honorable Martin Samuel are saying are in accord with the provisions of the Constitution. Because as of today, we have a judgment of the Court of Appeal recognizing Right Honorable Martin Samuel as the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, and indeed the other members as members of the House of Assembly. They are the ones constitutionally empowered to transact business in the name of the House of Assembly. That is not being done in River State because we have a governor who, in his imagination, thinks that he is the one who can ascribe, to a person as to whether he's a member of the House of Assembly. You're usurping the powers of the court. I will continue to say this, that our politicians must now begin to live up to expectations in terms of keeping with the provisions of the law. I do not know who advises the governor in terms of these actions that he has been taking, but my only caution to the governor is that he must exercise restraint. He must exercise restraint and be reasonable and logical in terms of his actions, because they are not just for today, they are also for tomorrow. And tomorrow you will give account of all the actions that you have taken today. That's my caution to the governor.
Well, you would agree that the political crisis in River State is constantly evolving and does not appear to be abating anytime soon. At this point, what can be done to halt this unending political power tussle?
Clearly, what can be done is that politicians, like I said, must obey the law, including judgments of the courts. I mean, if we have politicians who obey judgments of courts, we won't get to where we're going to. I mean, we won't get to the point where we are now. Because most times, litigation takes a lot of time. And litigation in Nigeria, because of our own jurisprudence, takes a lot of time. But why we wait for a matter to get to the Supreme Court? Judgment would have been given by either the High Court or the Federal High Court, the Court of Appeal, before it gets to the Supreme Court. When politicians, and indeed, where politicians decide to obey or play by the rules of the game, which includes obeying judgments of court, we won't have this kind of executive rascality. What we're having now is that politicians keep, politicians keep acting each time a particular script from the playbook, engaging in forum shopping, cherry picking which judgment of court to obey and the one not to obey. That's the situation we have in River State. And the moment they begin to comply with judgment of court, we won't get to where we are today. Because if the governor had complied with the judgment of the Court of Appeal, there would have been no need to present the budget before a three-member House of Assembly.
Finally, since he assumed office, Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, have been at loggerheads over, power in the state, and there seems to be no end in sight. Now, Fubara has continuously assured that this tussle will not hamper governance, will not hamper his governance. Do you have any doubts on this statement made by the governor?
Okay, this particular question appear political. I have always wanted to restrain myself about talking about politics, but I can assure you, as a public affairs commentator, no elected official should give excuse of political battles as the reason why they didn't deliver on their campaign promises. I mean, it is unjustifiable, whether as a member of the House of Assembly, as a member of the House of Rep, as a senator, as a governor, as a vice president, or as a president, because you would always have squabbles. I mean, what's the essence of politics? It's a game of who gets what, when, and how. So in that game, you would always have this kind of squabbles. And so you must have the strength, you must have the stamina, to make sure that you actually win. So the political battles that you face, and there are several political battles. If you go and meet the president now, he has his own battles. If you meet a senator, the senator has his own battle. Same for the House of Rep, same for the governor, same for the House of Assembly member. So none can give the excuse of, I am facing too many battles as the reason why I didn't deliver. After all, these battles are not the expression of or flexing of muscles. It's not like a wrestling game. It's not like a karate. They are all legal issues. And so if they are legal issues, it means that you have the opportunity of ventilating your grievance in court. The question is, when the court gives judgment, do you obey them? So I don't think there are distractions. You would always have them from 1999 till today. Every president have always had his own battle. Same for other elected officials. So none, even down to the local government chairman, none can give the excuse of battles as a basis for which they didn't fulfill their campaign promises. And the issues that we have in Rivers State are actually legal issues. So they are legal issues, although they emanate from politics, but they are legal issues. The question that we should be asking ourselves is, are the parties obeying the judgments of court? Are they playing according to the rules? Not whether they are distractions. This particular, if you take a look at the two sides of a coin, one coin will tell you this person is distracting us. The other person will tell you this other person is distracting us. But whether you're distracted or not, the question is whether you're fulfilling your campaign promises, because there are now issues that are before the courts.
Well, without a doubt, the people of Rivers State, both indigenous and non-native, non-native now would have grown weary of this back and forth between Governor Fubara and Wike. Well, I'm hopeful that a resolution would be made soon. Mr. Godswill Egbule, we really appreciate your time with us on the program. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Well, that's how much we can take on this episode of the program. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.